Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. So, it's a great, week as always. There's always some complicated theory on man or woman that takes place on this show and beyond, right? On this show you can get some real good frank talk and, enjoy looking at myself and my lovely, fabulous guests here in the audience. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah. So it just, has baffled me that, when I look at myself, like, I don't do nude selfies. I like how I look, but I just never felt the need to do them and display them. And I never knew how much it mattered to make a statement. Whether, I think I'm in shape. I like the way I look. I think I'm okay. I'm not anything crazy. But I never knew the importance of, like, how you can take a nude selfie of your body and put it online and say, look at me, I'm naked. I'm making a statement about body. Some people call it feminism nowadays. I mean, the recent Kim Kardashian nude photo that she did, and it broke the internet, and she breaks a lot of things nowadays, right? It's caused a big, huge controversy, and people are talking about it. Those who criticize her are slut-shaming. Those who are, supporting her are pro-feminist. And that word feminism has been used and misused and abused, no pun intended, too often. And I'm just curious to know what people think about that topic. There's been a lot. There's the new slut walk that Amber Rose is proposing, and there's a lot of conversations about, respectability politics for women and how do men treat women and how do men understand women. And I've just wanted to know, in this day and age, especially with the intersections of women of color, some of which we'll be talking on the show today, is this feminism term, this understanding of feminism and the celebrity capitalizing of it, is it actually feminism? Is it a good word? Is it relevant? Is it necessary? I tell myself that I'm a feminist. I don't quote songs that have lifted quotes from other people, but I would say that, I do believe in the equality of sexes. I do believe that, socially and economically and I guess sexually, women should be given the same level of respect and consideration in their roles in those circumstances. That's what I think feminism is. That's what makes me a proud feminist. I mean, I must put a disclaimer, I am gay, so I don't really hold this extreme patriarchal male privilege when it comes to the patriarchal relationships. I am in a same-sex relationship, so for me, it doesn't really necessarily, I'm not necessarily, bought and sold on this idea that a woman can do a man's job and all that, all that nonsense. So, but some people in my audience may think there's more to the conversation, and with this third, fourth, fifth, thousandth wave of feminism that has happened in 2016, I thought it'd be interesting to hear different people's perspectives, different generations of women from different backgrounds, and also the men that, get excluded out the conversation of feminism. But on my show, I believe in equality of sexes, so I think this is a conversation that both men and women should be able to talk about in a very fair, respectable manner. So I was wondering if there's any feminists in the audience that I can be able to get their perspectives on these issues. It's a very divisive audience in here that has different perspectives, and I want to, hear your different opinions. But I'll start with the feminists first. Thanks. So tell me what your name is.
Amanda Parks.
Wonderful. So tell me why you're a feminist.
I'm a feminist because I believe the definition that I ascribe to of feminism is, the equality of the sexes, politically, economically, sexually, what we choose to do with our bodies, the amount of money we make, like the access to different kinds of jobs and opportunities. So I feel that's why I ascribe to being a feminist. In terms of the movement itself, I mean, there's a lot of controversy attached to that and a lot of inherent racism as well attached to it that I don't agree with, but I do believe in the basic definition of it, and that's what I go by. And then to address what you were talking about with Kim Kardashian and her nude selfie, I think that it's interesting that who comes to bat for her when she decides to do this, and on Twitter, certain people will come to bat for her, but might not go to bat for someone like Amber Rose, who is a black woman and who actually have similar backgrounds in terms of using their sexuality, like being known for really sexual reasons. Amber was a stripper in her past, which is no judgment there, and she dated Kanye West, and then she's making a career of her own. Kim, was really found by a sex tape. And so really, I don't know why people judge Kim, or they view Kim in a better light than they view Amber Rose. And so I think it's interesting that if we're going to really call ourselves feminists, then we really do, and we do believe in equality, and women can be sexual and choose to use their bodies how they want to use them, then you shouldn't be judging Amber any less than you judge Kim Kardashian. And so I think that, and additionally with the rapper The Game, where the sexism comes in is that he posts news or pictures of himself in his boxers. I'm not saying I don't like it, but
right.
But I think that there's no backlash to him. No one criticizes him for not being a bad father or anything like that. But then Kim is criticized. So I think that's where like the sexism goes into play as well. And so that's why I think I believe I'm a feminist, because I do believe in the equality of the sexes. So.
Okay. Thank you. So there's sexism to play with nude shots in the DMs. It's interesting. I mean, as I look at this, it seems like there's a lot of negative, conflicts with being a feminist. I mean, especially for women of color, it seems like to use that title and to say that, yes, you support it, but at the same time, you recognize that there's some double standards at play when it comes to it. And I think there's people in the audience, even women in the audience, who say they're not feminists. And I want to know women who don't identify as feminists. Yes, come on. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Melissa Robbins, and I don't necessarily categorize myself as a feminist, and I'll tell you why. I'm a black woman, and that's what our country sees, a black woman. They see my blackness before they see my gender. And, whereas white women will get paid 9 times out of 10 more than black women in the workplace, it's hard for me to stand up and fight as a woman when I'm still fighting to get equality as a black woman. So when we see people like Kim Kardashian taking nude photos, I'm more concerned about the woman who's trying to feed her child. That's not important, her bearing her body to the world. When a woman is raped, I'm more concerned about the woman trying to recover for being raped for walking down the street with a suit jacket on and a skirt, but you're out there parading your nude body around making a statement. What are you saying? And what would you like us to receive? I don't adhere to any of it. The feminism, the making the bold statements for taking your clothes off, I think it's a bunch of nonsense, and it's people with far too much time on their hands. There are real issues in our world.
Thank you. The woman said that, not me. See, if I would have said that, I would have been sexist, right? I'm curious and interested and wondering, there's so many other layers that take place with women's rights and equality. And I think that, people that do have the time to take off their clothes and go nude, a lot of times those are people that don't have to worry about losing their jobs. This deals with people that don't necessarily have to worry about what's at stake and losing. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm trying to understand this without being insensitive. But, for the nudity movement that has come with this whole idea about body and showing your body and all these things, a mother, that has to feed her, work 9 to 5 to feed her family, she's not worrying about having the liberty to take nude selfies and not being judged. I mean, it seems like it's a first world issue almost to be able to have the luxury to, be nude and show your body without being judged. I mean, there seems to be, income inequality, systemic racism, institutional discrimination that impacts people on all types of levels. I mean, you're talking about issues pertaining to Title IX, sexual assault and abuse on college campuses. Where are the celebrities fighting for those issues? Because it seems like it's easy to put up the nude pictures and make a statement about body image because it's, it makes you money. Because at the end of the day, when Kim put that on her Twitter and Instagram, she also has ads attached to her Twitter. So it generates revenue for her to be able to have that kind of buzz. And for other celebrities, that do the slut walks and the shame walks and they get against slut shaming and supporting, I mean, don't you think that might support their image for their business model? To make it acceptable so that they can be able to do it more. I mean, as you look at the miles through time, it seems like every celebrity, female celebrity is going nude more. There's a wave of it now on every album cover. It's like a story. Every time you look on Facebook, so-and-so bears it all for the next cover of Maxim. And I'm just like, and it's not to say that it doesn't matter. I mean, people can do what they want with their bodies, but I guess it depends on what the motives are. So I want to know, a male's perspective on this? Is there any, or another woman's perspective on this? Anyone in the audience who has thoughts about the idea of body and image and its role in feminism? Anyone here? And then we have another person coming up next. Already counters today. How are you? What's your name?
Dave Anderson. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good. I don't really care what a woman does with her body. That's her right. That's her God-given right. I'm not going to deny her that. I'm not here for the term feminism. I'm here for the term women's rights. I'm a women's rights advocate. I'm not here for feminism because feminism was not made for black women. My wife breastfeeds. And when we're out, she has to constantly look around like somebody's coming to get her because she's trying to nourish my child. That, to me, is a lot more important than what Kim Kardashian does on Twitter. So we have to get to a point where we understand the history of a thing so that we are not doomed to repeat it. Because if it was for us, then why is it that when people who look like my wife lose jobs because of the way their hair looks and they're told that they're unkempt, Gloria Steinem doesn't rear her lovely head with all of her revolutionary talk? Where is feminism when a little girl in Dallas is getting beat up by the cops? Where was feminism for Sandra Bland? Where's all this feminism? And by the way, when feminism was a big thing, they said, sister, you're not black first, you're a woman first, because they needed the numbers. And when they got the numbers, they left the scissors and they continue to do so. So if you as a black woman are supporting feminism, you're supporting your own self-destruction.
Well, damn. Self-destruction is some big terms. Some very serious, points. It's interesting that you made those remarks because where was feminism when it came to Sandra Bland? Where was feminism in loving your hair and loving, your Michael Jackson nostrils and all that stuff, right? Where was feminism in all that kind of looks? When you look at these magazines of women in female-directed films and putting models on the covers, Vogue don't celebrate all women. There was finally a Vogue cover, I think, in Italy that just said Black is beautiful, and that was in 2016. Why haven't there been a Black is beautiful cover for women way before then? There has been? Come tonight, talk to us. Come to us. Oh, sure. Yes. I want to know these thoughts.
Thoughts, huh?
Tell me your thoughts. What's your name?
First, I have to identify myself.
Yes, identify.
Bobby Booker is my name.
How are you, Bobby Booker?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
So tell me your thoughts about this topic. Do you consider yourself a feminist?
Of course.
Wow.
Black women are the original feminists, if you ask me. And then if you have insight into what your history is, and not only that, what American history is, then you can go back, understand, and embrace and forward the notions of feminism. In my mind, Harriet Tubman is a feminist. If we deal with some of the social structures where women suffered because they are childbearers, then I have to embrace Margaret Sanger, who brought birth control to the masses. That is an empowering move for women. Now, I'm talking about feminism, and I think we're talking about feminism here in a post-70s dynamic.
Okay.
So if we embrace what is contemporary feminism, then unfortunately, it takes a racial divide. But it still does not exclude black women. Black women have and always will be a part of that movement. And it is brought into the 21st century dynamic when you look at someone like a Beyonce, who has fully embraced feminism, who has fully put feminism on blast. I woke up like this, okay? And then she includes Achebe's comments in the middle of what is a best-selling song, which again underscores what the tenets of feminism is. So ideally, what feminism has become in a contemporary dynamic too is confused with the fame demon. So being proud of your body is one thing. Showing off your body for social media hits is playing into a fame game. And that's where we have to try and decide what the backlash to justified backlash, if I may add, to
Right.
Kim Kardashian is. Because she's not doing it to empower anyone necessarily
Right.
than herself. But then in that conversation, someone like a Beyonce is dismissed, when I think she has probably done more for feminism in 21st century mode than Gloria Steinem has done overall since 2000. So again, I proclaim that black women are indeed the original feminists, and I am indeed a proud one. But more so than being a feminist, I'm a humanist, because I believe that equal rights should be shared by all folk, regardless of their race, their income, their social standing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Intense conversation. Very intense. I'm divided on this issue, but then that's my male privilege. It's real. I mean, I don't have to think about this. No, I actually do. Because at the end of the day, it's a complicated thing. I do hear one side of the conversation that says, I'm for women's rights, but women's rights might not necessarily be related to feminism per se. But then there's this balance of saying, yes, feminism is real. There was Harriet Tubman. These are the first black feminists before the word feminist was made, right? And in reality, what has come from that is this sense of the fame game. So maybe the issue is the impact of pop culture and celebrities and making this fame, playing into the fame of these issues. But, to be honest, when you take a step back, I mean, I can't stand celebrities, most of them. I mean, they have taken all movements and have kind of hijacked them to use it to make money. I mean, you think of Black Lives Matter. I mean, you think about, again, feminism. You think about the gay rights movement, how many of them have taken, issues and made them a part of their, marketing scheme. Macklemore and Same Love, I don't like the song. I think it's corny. Yes, I said it. And everyone thought because I was gay, oh, Ernest, you're going to love this song because Macklemore said this song. I said, this is corny. He cannot rap. Sorry, he can't. But, because he bandwagoned onto that, they gave him the credit. This straight, white, cisgender male gets the credit for issues that people like myself and other people that are not as glamorous or known has been pushing for and talking about. I guess with people like Kim Kardashian is that, before society got more sophisticated on talking about feminism, Kim Kardashian had been taking her clothes off. The reality is, who was talking about the slut shaming that happened to Monica Lewinsky? Was that slut shaming? No one's revisited what happened to Monica Lewinsky during the Bill Clinton and scandal. Everybody, including Gloria Steinem and all of them, kind of slut shamed Monica, when all that happened, even though when you look back at it now in retrospect, she was young, impressionable, clearly misguided. But at the end of the day, she, was taken advantage of by a man of power. And not just a man of power, the man of the free world. If there was anybody to get played by, you can't get mad at her. She got played by the president of the United States. Like, it's not like the man across the street or the club promoter, right? It's the guy who is in the Oval Office. But yet everyone blamed her and slut shamed her, and yet she had, no one's official job. She was an intern, she was ambitious, she stepped out of line, of course, but at the end of the day, it takes two to tango. And more of the responsibility should be on a man like himself, who was this attorney, this governor, who, it was elected by the people for the people to execute the law. So when you see that double standard take place, it becomes hard to understand where the fault lines lie. I think it's hard to use, it's difficult to think about feminism since that I do believe in women's rights. I think that somebody who doesn't take in the banter of that term shouldn't be necessarily against it. I think there's an idea that if you are for women's rights, eventually we will arrive at feminism for all. It's kind of like the thing about equality, right? There's a lot of people that say, I'm not racist, I'm not this, I'm not, ignorant, I'm not prejudiced, I'm not all these things. But it's like, you can say that all day and believe that all day, but if you're not advocating for specific issues that gives people those rights, it means nothing. And when I say that in the sincerity of like, when you tell a lot of guys run around and say, oh, I'm a feminist, I think women should be equal. But then when you start talking about, issues pertaining to, sexual assault and rape issues, you're talking about equal pay with women to take leaves and Medicare leaves and things like that. When you start talking about, judging women according to what they dress and all of those issues that happens with that, you begin to realize that local legislative-wise, they're sexist. So it's easy. Same thing with people. They'll say, I have no issue against gay people, but it's always a but. And every time you're doing that but, it just deflects and takes away from the major point that's being made. So you're going to sit up and say, I know a guy says, I have nothing against, women. I love women. I love my mom and my sister. They always love their family members first, right? It's like they always love, but I think sometimes, not all women, well, the ones that I know, they make all these concessions before they get to the point of saying all of what they said and then some. So they'll say something like, oh, I don't think rape is right, but some of these girls out here be doing this. And it's like, well, who are some of these girls? No answer, no number, no specific. Or, well, there are reckless people out here that do these things. And it's always concessions rather than, the norm. Or when you're talking about chivalry, I ask men the question all the time, is it okay for a woman to make more to you in your relationship? Some people agree with that. Some people don't agree with that. Some people think, oh, hell no. The idea of being a housemaker at home while your wife works, no, that's my job. So there's all these different ideas that when you start breaking down, when people say the word equality, it's not as equal as people say they want it to be. And so I think the lesson from this is that, call yourself a feminist, call yourself, anti-feminist, call yourself whatever, but it's not going to matter what label you use if the advocacy isn't there. So I don't really care if Kim Kardashian takes off her clothes. I don't care if Amber Rose want to get on a stripper pole. At the end of the day, do you, boo-boo, but make sure that when it's time to push for the issues, to vote for the issues, to get your misogynistic husband, Kanye, to get on the issues. Because everybody want to, rock with sexist people, chill with homophobic people, be cool with all that, but don't think that reflects on their image. So we got to look at who people are hanging out with. You look in, and I think that's why people take some of these people as a joke, is because a lot of these celebrities, they say these messages, but then when we see who they hang out with, who they align themselves with, it's ridiculous. Kid Rock is not a racist, but he endorses Donald Trump. So it's like you gotta look at the overall picture. And so to me, I don't know if I can, now with all this information, taking into perspectives, I'll call myself a feminist, but I'll also elaborate more on why I call myself a feminist. I'll say I'm a feminist, but pause, wait a minute. I want rights, I want this, and I want this. Because nowadays, just saying you're a feminist like Taylor Swift, bless her heart, is not going to be enough to get these things done. It's not going to be enough to get people on focus. So if anything, be a humanist. I think that's the qualifier, right? Just be human for everybody, because I still need rights. I'm a black man and a black gay man, so I still need rights too. So, I care about all your issues and care about my issues, and I'll just be a humanist. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you.